You haven't figured it out yet. This is Toastmasters. Is anybody here by mistake? This is Toastmasters, and you are torpid at your own peril in this group. We have a speech tonight by Lloyd Smith. Project 5 in the Advanced Communication Series Manual, the entertaining speaker is speaking after dinner. Imagine that you are in the audience at the March conference of the Popular Culture Association. You are among the scholars who study American popular culture, so you are very interested in Lloyd Smith's discussion of one of the key cultural artifacts in modern American music. Please welcome Lloyd Smith and the Maximum Louie Louie.
In the fall of 1966, a rumor began circulating among America's teenagers, eventually reaching the Spokane Valley, where I was a sophomore in high school. According to the rumor, one of the most popular songs being played on the radio at that time, Louie Louie, was actually obscene. Now today, vulgar and even obscene song lyrics are so common we hardly even notice them. But in 1963, in a song that was being played several times a day on the radio, oh wow, that rumor dominated our teenage world for weeks. Now, there were actually 3 different versions of Louie Louie that were being played on the radio at that time. According to the rumor, the versions by the Wailers and Paul Revere and the Raiders were actually okay, but the version by the Kingsmen had nasty lyrics in it. Now you had to take the single and play it at 33 1/3 RPM instead of the normal 45 RPM. And you had to listen very, very carefully. And it might only work on records that were bought in Portland, not ones that were in Washington State. But if you did it just right, you'd hear the nasty words. Now, did we actually believe that? Well, no, not really, but we sure wanted to. And whenever adults were around, we acted as if we did. It turned out to be an urban legend. Somebody, somewhere, had dreamed up the idea of nasty lyrics for Louie Louie as a way to play a practical joke on kids all over America, and as a bonus to aggravate adult authority at the same time. That genius also provided rock and roll with something it desperately needed, and that was a secret, one as rich and ridiculous as the music itself, a secret that divided the teenage rock and roll world from the adult world, probably for all time. As a bonus, it would not have been possible to think of a practical joke that would frighten and anger the adult authority figures in our lives more than that. It worked so well that early in 1964, the Attorney General of the United States, Robert Kennedy, ordered the FBI to investigate the dirty lyrics in Louie Louie. That appealed to J. Edgar Hoover's weirdly prurient and paranoid mindset, and he ordered the agency to make it a top priority. Within weeks, FBI agents in 6 major American cities were buying copies of Louie Louie by the dozen and sending them off to FBI laboratories for analysis. They actually had to ship them in special envelopes that were designed for obscene material, apparently so that postal employees all over America would not be corrupted by them. The FBI also began interviewing dozens or perhaps hundreds of people, it's hard to tell, who were involved in the Louie Louie phenomenon. But they never spoke to the actual singer in the Kingsmen, Jack Ely, for some reason. There's some speculation that the FBI never discovered that Jack Ely had sung the song, even though they investigated. After an incredible 33-month investigation, the FBI issued its final report. They told Director Hoover that the song was unintelligible at any speed. They couldn't determine whether it was obscene. Pardon me. This whole episode is just one stop in Louie Louie's incredible journey through rock and roll history on its way to being one of the definitive classics in rock music. There are more than 1,500 versions of Louie Louie that have been recorded since it was originally written. That makes it the most covered song in history, just a little bit ahead of Paul McCartney's Yesterday. It truly is a cultural phenomenon. The song was originally written and recorded by a rhythm and blues singer named Richard Berry. He structured it as a sea chanty, but he put it to a calypso beat, and he weirdly added a cha-cha verse to it, or chorus to it. That sounds like a bizarre combination, but the net result was an extremely simple 3-chord song with a weirdly hypnotic beat to it, which is what has probably kept it in popularity even to today. The best version I've ever heard was something by a group called The Mob, which sounds like it might be a rap group or a rock band, but it's not. It's the Marching Owl Band of Temple University. And they wrote the definitive marching band sheet music for Louie Louie, and I recommend it highly to all of you. Well, Louie Louie is a cultural force. In fact, it became such an important cultural force that in 1985, it came within a whisper of being named the state song of Washington. The Whatcom County Commission, apparently on a slow day, allowed itself to be persuaded by a group of fraternity brothers from Western Washington University to pass a resolution to the state legislature asking the legislature to name Louie Louie the state song. A Seattle comedian named Ross Schaefer, who was host of a late-night show called Almost Live, started doing fake news reports about the progress of the resolution through the state legislature. His obvious prank took on a life of its own, and within a few weeks there was an official statewide political pressure group called Maximum Louie Louie that had formed in order to promote the idea of the new state song. Unfortunately, or bizarrely enough, a committee of the Washington State Senate really did pass a bill naming Louie Louie the state song. But sadly, before the entire Senate could take a vote, a powerful special interest got involved. That special interest was a polite, gray-haired 79-year-old grandmother named Helen Davis. She was the composer of a song called Washington, My Home, which had been named the official state song in 1959. Schaefer invited Mrs. Davis to appear on his TV show, and he hired a hard-charging proto-punk garage band from Tacoma named the Sonics, who later became famous for The Witch and Psycho and whatnot, to do their incredibly aggressive version of Louie Louie. The camera focused on Mrs. Davis as her expression changed from incredulity to horror as the song went on. After the Sonics wrapped it up, Schaefer explained to Mrs. Davis that that was going to replace her song as the state song, and she began to cry. The Maximum Louie Louie movement died instantly on the spot by making a little old lady cry on TV. And sadly, we are stuck with Washington, My Home as the official state song. Now this weirdly enough raises an almost serious issue. How many of you in here can actually sing or at least hum Washington, My Home? My God, you're doing it. You've ruined my speech. I didn't expect anyone to do that. Well, that's one. Yeah, exactly. Now, how many of you can sing or at least hum Louie Louie? Clearly. Now, this raises the issue of the musicological significance of both of these songs. The words to Washington, My Home, which have been spoiled here, but anyway, this is my country. God gave it to me. I will protect it, ever keep it free. Small towns and cities rest here in the sun. Filled with our laughter, thy will be done. Washington, my home. Go ahead, sing if you want. Yeah, wherever I may roam. This is my land, my native land. Washington, my home. Our verdant forest green, caressed by silvery stream. From mountain peak to fields of wheat. Washington, my home. There's peace you feel and understand in this our own beloved land. We greet the day, head held high, and forward ever is our cry. We will happy ever be as people always free. For you and me a destiny, Washington, my home. You can sob quietly if you want. Now compare that to the subtlety, the narrative flow of Louie Louie. Fine little girl waits for me. Catch a ship across the sea. Sail that ship about, all alone. Never know if I make it home. 3 nights and days I sail the sea. Think of girl constantly. On that ship I dream she's there. I smell the roses in her hair. See Jamaica, moon above. It won't be long, me see me love. Take her in my arms again. Tell her I'll never leave again. Richard, your poem doesn't scan. Louie, Louie, oh no, me gotta go. I said, Louie, Louie, me gotta go now. Now there is a poem. That's a state song that you could sing. Indeed, it's a state song you could enjoy singing. And it could well be that it's a time for a rebirth of Louie Louie across our land.
That was great.
Tyra, do we have one